I'm very concerned about the situation in Mongdo. The Arakan army this weekend gave all remaining residents, including a large Rohingya population, a warning to evacuate. But Rohingya have no options. There is nowhere to flee. Following a similar pattern in Butidong, where Rohingya were ordered to flee and then the town burned, I fear we are yet again about to bear witness to displacement, destruction and abuses. The military also reportedly ordered evacuation of ethnic Rakhine villages around Sitwe, where they have been conducting mass arrests in recent days. In another instance, the village of Byongpyu was reportedly emptied of its several hundred residents as the military tried to identify men of fighting age who sympathized with their armed opponent, the Arakan army. Men were separated from women. Dozens of men were allegedly tortured, shot and killed. Multiple reports allege that at least 5 women were also raped and killed in the incident. Their village was burned. Hundreds of men taken away are now missing. In a cynical move, the military has pressured and threatened young Rohingya men to join their ranks. Some reports have indicated thousands of Rohingya youth have been conscripted into the very same forces that displaced hundreds of thousands of their community in 2016 and 2017. In response, the Arakan army has exhorted Rohingya to fight with them against the military. They have targeted their communities by forcibly displacing residents. On multiple occasions, they have detained or killed men of fighting age who they suspected of taking up arms against them. These tactics have brought back the shocking images and memories from 2017 of systematic terrorization, persecution and forced displacement of populations. Today, sections of Mongdo and Butidong have been alternately burned. Ethnic Rakhine houses and neighborhoods were set alight, followed days later by the burning of Rohingya villages. And tens of thousands of civilians from these communities have been forced to flee, among them entire Rohingya communities with no guarantees of finding safe haven. Over 1 million Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh are still living in limbo, in dire conditions, with no prospect for durable solutions. All this in the face of binding provisional measures ordered by the International Court of Justice for the protection of the Rohingya, while it examines the case alleging genocide brought before it by the Gambia and other intervening member states. Accountability, including proceedings currently pending before the International Criminal Court, is absolutely critical. The failures to ensure accountability in Myanmar's past transition are now allowing history to repeat itself and are haunting the present and the future. Mr. President, the situation in Rakhine State is tragically just one example of how this coup, which has resulted in 3 years of conflict, has brought pain and suffering to an entire country. The attacks by the military have been and continue to be indiscriminate. Since February 2021, at least 5,280 civilians, including 1,022 women and 667 children, have been killed at the hands of the military. At least 26,865 individuals have been arrested and 20,592 remain in detention. There are now 3 million internally displaced by these conflicts, the vast majority still without proper shelter, without access to food or water, without essential medicines and healthcare, and so many more of the cruel consequences of the military's continued denial of humanitarian access remain invisible and underreported. It is clear the violence must end, the attacks against civilians must end, the forced conscription must end, and the denial of humanitarian assistance must end. I urge all parties to prevent the recurrence of the atrocity crimes committed against the Rohingya in 2016 and 2017. I also call on countries in the region to ensure international protection and provision of adequate shelter, support and long-term access to essential services to people fleeing the violence and persecution. Special provisions must be made for human rights defenders who are particularly exposed and often face transnational threats and refoulement. Nobody should be forcibly returned to Myanmar at this time. We need an urgent rethink of how we can respond collectively to this unmitigated crisis. I had the opportunity to discuss with the leadership of the Lao People's Democratic Republic and Malaysia as the current and future ASEAN chair, as well as with Thailand as a near neighbor. It is time to go beyond the ASEAN 5-point consensus that has failed to stem the violence or restore democracy. ASEAN's efforts must be re-energized and backed by a consortium of influential states to develop a new roadmap that can restore the destiny of Myanmar to its people. This must factor in the new realities of local governance emerging on the ground that can provide building blocks towards a democratic future from the bottom up. Myanmar's people must have a place at the table. This means reaching out to democracy movement and youth, involving them meaningfully in the resolution of this crisis. The new generation in Myanmar, particularly the women's leadership that has emerged, needs to be supported in a visioning process for the future of the country. With more attention, more investment, more political will and more action, this situation can be turned around for a better tomorrow for the people of Myanmar. Thank you.